So this is the output of our last class. So in our last class, we understood a concept called formatter. So formatter is used to format the data of the columns by applying some conditions, or you want to apply some coloring. So all these things can be done by using formatter itself. So even though you are using OData model, so you can still use the formatter concept to change the data of the columns before it appears into the table. So yesterday somebody asked like, so this permanent contract, so can we keep this entire this word into the background of this word into green color, something like that. So for this, in object status itself, they have given a property called inverted something, inverted. So if you give this property as true, so let's see what happens. So this is what happens. Okay. So like this, you can simply keep the entire word into with the background color as well. So permanent green, contract orange, and like this. Okay. So the property name is inverted. True. That's all. Okay. We don't need to do anything. So however, I'm just removing this. Right. So in today's class, we are going to see the next things. So by the end of the class, we will keep a export to Excel button. So let me write what we are going to learn in today's class. The first one is exporting table data into Excel sheet. This is a kind of compulsory requirement in real time in every project. Okay, compulsory requirement. Exporting table data into Excel, that we will see at the end. And even before that, so we are going to see the next composite UI element called list UI element. And then we will see something called multi-value UI elements. Multi-value UI elements. Okay. So first let us complete the list UI element, and then we'll come to the multi-value UI element, and at the end we will see how to export the table data or list data into the Excel sheet. Okay. Now list UI element. See, under to represent the multiple rows of data, SAP has given two UI elements. So one is the table UI element, which is extensively used in real time, and second one is a list UI element. So both are given to represent multiple rows of data. Okay, table also represents multiple records, list also represents multiple records. Then what is the difference? The difference is in the way it shows appearance of the data. That's all. The table shows the data in the form of columns and rows, whereas this particular list shows the data in the form of list items. So what is that list item and all, we'll see. However, both are given, but in the real time 95% table is used. So very rarely people ask for the list UI element. As per my experience, I can say 5%. So not even 5% also I can say. Okay. So however, let's see the list UI element now. So this is the table UI element. I'm commenting it out for a while, but in real time table is used mostly. Now coming to the list UI element. The list UI element and table UI element both are having similarities. The binding concept is also same. The only thing is representation wise it is slightly differs. Okay, right. So let me start with the list UI element. So this is list. The list also contains the same items binding concept. So items pointing to the employee set. And this is also having the header toolbar. So same thing. So this particular subpart it is also having. So I kept the header toolbar. And after that, the table contains the columns subpart, but the list does not contain any columns subpart. Okay, but it has item subpart. So there is a reason the binding of items was done. So this is also having the items subpart. Now inside the items subpart, so here we have written column list item. Column list item means one row of a table. Column list item means, what is column list item? So column list item equals to one row of the table. It's called column list item. So inside the table we keep column list item, but inside the list, the subpart items contains object list item. So if I give arrow mark, so it will suggest something, but out of that we need to select object list item. So if you type O, it gives the object list item. Okay, now let us see what is this object list item and what it contains. The object list item has similar properties like a object header. You know object header, right? Object header contains title, number unit, and then object header also contains some attributes and all, right? So this object header we learned as a part of layouts topic. So similar kind of properties this object list item will also contain. Now remember, object list item means one row of a list. One row of the list UI element is called object list item. So one row of the table is called column list item. So remember this difference. Okay. Now the object list item is having the title property, so that this I can bind directly the way you are binding it here. Employee ID or name or something. So let me bind it with name. So that is title property. Then number property, I'm binding it with the salary. Okay, so number unit property. So as of now, I'm giving INR. All right. So these three, let us see how it looks now. So this is how the list UI element looks like. The list UI element is a collection of list items. So this is one list item. This is another list item. And this is another list item. Got it? 1, 2, 3, 3 list items. So how it works? So it works same to same as your table. So when the items tag execute this particular binding, it hits the OData service URL pointing to 3 records, right? Now this items tag acts like a loop. So it enters the loop and repeat the object list item 3 times. Object list item means one row of the list. So 3 rows of the list will get created. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Clear? And the title, number unit. So all those go and sit at their designated places. Okay. All right. Now the object list item also contains other subparts called attributes. So this is the reason I told you object list item contains the similar kind of look and feel like a object header layout. So while we discussed the layouts topic, so I told about object header and icon tab bar, if you remember. So the object header and this object list item, so both contains similar properties, and even the subparts also same. Now under the attributes, which is a subpart, we need to take object attribute. Object attribute is like a text UI element. So the only difference is it not only contains the text but also contains the title. Okay. So employee ID. So text equal to, I will bind it to employee ID. I can copy this. I can take designation, something like that, and I can bind it to designation. Okay. And apart from the attributes, so this also has the status property, and inside the status subpart we need to write object status, and I can bind it to the status. So we can apply the formatter. We already have the formatter, right? So I can copy this entire thing, object status, for the status to represent. Okay. Now this is object list item, and its subparts. Attributes is one subpart and first status is another subpart. Yeah. So this is how the list UI element looks like. Clear? There is no difference between the table UI element and list UI element. The only difference is the representation of the data differs. In case of table, one second, what happened to my screen? Okay. So in case of table, the representation of the data is rows and columns, but in case of the list UI element, so this is how the data will appear. So like a list item, this rectangular box.
Screen is not appearing.
Pardon?
Screen not appearing for me.
Screen not appearing, is it? Okay. Can you see now?
Okay, it's fine. Okay, it's fine.
So something happened in between, even I don't know. Okay. So this particular rectangular box is called list item. So list item 1, list item 2, list item 3. So list items have their own representation of the data, like title, number unit, then attributes, and then statuses. Okay. All right. So as I told you, in real time 95% we use table only 5% list is used. Right. So now let's go to the next concept, that is multi-value UI elements. So what are multi-value UI elements? Till now, you know only one input taking UI element, that is input field, right? The input field has it's a facility to enter the value, and obviously whatever the value that you enter, that is single value only. Then what is this multi-value UI elements? The multi-value UI elements give you option with multiple values, and out of them you can select single value or multiple values. Okay, so under the multi-value UI elements, let us see what are the UI elements that comes. So first one is select box. The second one is combo box. Third one is multi-combo box. Fourth one is radio button group. Fifth one is F4 help. This is also called as value help. So all these 5 comes under multi-value UI elements. Okay. So if you understand the items binding, so basically the binding concept the looping concept that happens automatically. So if you understand the table UI element, so it is equal that you will understand multi-value UI elements also. Okay. So now let us see all these multi-value UI elements. So I'm commenting out the list UI element, by the way. Let me take a simple form, and then I will create all these multi-value UI elements inside the simple form. Okay. So I'm just taking some simple form code since we already covered the simple form. So let me give the title as multi-value UI elements. Multi-value UI elements. Responsive layout, label span 2, empty span 5, that's fine. Let me remove all this. Right. So under the multi-value UI elements, the first one is select box. Now let us see how the select box looks like. I'm taking a label with the text as select box, and so this is how the select box looks like. Select items equals to / employee set, and inside the items tag so basically the select box, combo box, multi-combo box, so these three are called as drop-down category. Drop-down category. Okay, so under multi-value UI elements, so these three comes under drop-down category. Okay, so now inside the table, so inside the table, if you see, we use column list item. Inside the list UI element, we use object list item, right? So similarly, inside this particular select box, we use something called drop down item. We use something called drop down item. Are you getting my point? So here inside the items subpart, we have used object list item. So for the table, inside the items subpart, we have used column list item. So similarly, for a select box, inside the items, we use something called drop down item. The drop down item is present in this particular library, sap.ui.core library. So we use core : item, and we give the text binded to, for example, EMP ID. So first let me show you the output, and then I will explain how this works. So this is called drop down. Give me a second. So this is your drop down, simple drop down. So this is called select box. Your first variation of the drop down. Right. Let me decrease the size of this drop down by increasing this label span. Sorry. Increasing the empty span. Let's have a look. Yep, so this is Okay, fine. Now let us see how this particular drop down has been constructed. Okay, so I will show you in paint diagram, then you will understand. The moment the select tag get executed, so it creates a empty drop down. So this is called empty drop down. The empty drop down is a rectangle with a down arrow symbol at the extreme right side. So this is called the empty drop down. So empty drop down means it will not contain any drop down items inside. See, this is what is the drop down initial. This is how it looks initially without any value. So this value has not yet come at the beginning. So this is the down arrow symbol. Okay. The moment it executes the items tag, now the items binding will convert it like a URL, and the URL is pointing to 3 records. The URL is pointing to 3 records. Now since the items binding is pointing to 3 records, the items tag, the line number 16, act like a loop. So it enters the loop at line number 17 and it creates the core item. So what is core item? The core item is drop down item. So drop down item is called core item. Remember, core item means drop down item. Okay, so how the drop down item looks like? So this is how the drop down item looks like. So a rectangle shape, a rectangular shape, the drop down item looks like. So this is the drop down item it has created. Now on this drop down item, it is saying to keep the text employee ID in the first iteration. So for the first iteration, the employee ID is 100001. So it keeps 100001. After that, the ending items tag encounter. So when the ending items tag encounter, it again goes to the starting items tag. So why it goes to the starting items tag? Because still there are 2 more values, 2 more records. So with the second record in the iteration, it enters the loop again and execute the line number 17 once again. Now the line number 17 is core item. Core item means another drop down item. So another drop down item get constructed. So this is your second drop down item. Now for the second drop down item, again the text property is there. So the text property will get executed. So this time the employee ID is 100002. So again the same thing get repeated. So again it goes to the items tag. So there is 1 more record. So again it enters the loop and core item gets repeated. So core item means drop down item. So again 1 more drop down item gets created. Now the text is 100003. Okay, so this is how this drop down got constructed. The first item will be shown by default in the select box. So there are 3, 100001, 2, 3, but the first drop down item automatically come and sit in this default showing area. So this one will come and sit here as a default value. So by default, the first value will be shown. Okay, so this is your select box. Now if you understand the select box, it's equal that you will understand the combo box, multi-combo box, radio button group as well. So F4
one question here.
Yeah.
Just to add, for that same column, many times we'll have a requirement that employee ID, employee name. So like both in the drop-down display, and selection will be the employee number. For this, any additional things to be done for this? Or?
So basically you want employee ID and employee name both, but when you select employee ID,
yeah, in the drop-down.
yeah, we can do that. But when when you select it, both will get selected. Okay, it's not like you can display both and select one. That is not possible. Okay, but when you are sending it to the backend, then at that time we can send only employee ID to the backend. So that is possible.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But if you are showing employee ID and employee name both in the drop down, then you will select both in the when you select. So at that time also it will be selected both. So again, you can show employee ID as well as employee name as well. For example, so I can show like this employee ID and name as well. Okay, so or if you want in round brackets, that also you can do.
When a formatter, can it help us here?
No, what is the need of formatter? Actually not required. When you are sending it to the backend, you will send employee ID only.
Because in the drop down, after displaying, only that a value should be placed on that field, not the description, the additional name.
No, that is not possible. When you submit to the backend, at that time we take only employee ID. We don't consider this one. Okay. Whatever you are telling is F4 help. So in F4 help, we show table with multiple columns, and when you select one column, when you select the row, it takes only the employee ID. So I understand what exactly you said. That is basically F4 help, not in the drop downs. Drop downs, it is not possible.
Yeah, you can change. You can take this English, the language there. The language is shown, right? One of the other field.
In the login, okay. See, I think you are talking about this kind of thing. If I select the entire row, anywhere, if I select only this 100003.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah.
Okay, that is F4 help. Okay, but in the drop down, whatever you select, that only will come.
Okay.
You are taking something, this one, right?
See, I think you gave it in the list.
See, the IT Italian, so both are coming here.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
I think in our list that 5th item is there already in the syllabus that you gave in the list. 5th point.
Yeah, that is F4F. That is what I said.
Right.
Just
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.